Breakfast Table. We're presented by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. We've got a segment coming up. What's your beef? We're going to let it all out. If you guys have anything you want to share, hit us up at GMFB. My name's Kay Adams. Kyle Brandt is here. Peter Schrager here, as always. And we've got one more day, 3 more hours with Thomas Davis.
I'm still here.
Yeah. Good to see you, man.
I'm good to be here, man. Excited. Glad y'all didn't kick me out yet.
No. We'll do that after today, though.
Yes.
It's good to have you. I like the shirt. You look like a NASCAR driver or something.
Louis, man. You know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Louis.
Of course. Did you just do some shopping in New York?
A little bit.
Oh, just a little bit. Very cool. We love having
Big
you here
mistake.
at the
Huge.
breakfast table. Yeah, it is. We've got a lot to get to. A lot of headlines. We've got a lot of guests. That'll be super fun. Jamar Chase is joining the program. So, without further ado, it's time for Lee Block.
Time for Lee Block.
Let's do it. All right, Washington football team. They're playing tomorrow. They officially placed Ryan Fitzpatrick on injured reserve. That means this is the guy, Taylor Heinicke, expected to start tomorrow night against the Giants. Both head coaches asked yesterday about Heinicke. Let's start with Ron Rivera and what he said that he's learned about Taylor since the day those two were hanging out together with the Panthers a few years back.
Well, I think just understanding the game even more so, you know, his importance and the fact that he doesn't need to put himself in harm's way. I think that's one of the things, if you watch the way he played. He's learned to be patient, take what's given to him, and I think he has a real good feel for when he takes his shots, too.
We cannot sleep on Heinicke. This guy's a good player. This guy's a talented player. This guy goes out there and he plays 60 minutes. He's going to give us everything we can handle. We've got to be very prepared. We have to play very sound, very disciplined, and very aware with him on the field.
Don't sleep on Heinicke, apparently. Small sample size. They might really like him. Coach Rivera says they are not, Thomas, looking outside the building for an additional quarterback as of now. There is this former season MVP from, I think, back in 2015, was it? He's a free agent, recently released. Ron Rivera. Oh, that's weird. He knows him pretty well. Should Washington be looking to bring in Cam?
Listen, Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen were both my former teammates in Carolina and also in Washington. And I know Coach Rivera very, very well.
Right. And
Coach Rivera is a guy that wants to win, and he wants to win right now. He's going to give these guys an opportunity, though. He feels like players deserve the opportunity if they worked and earned it, right? So Taylor Heinicke is a kid that, I mean, he's been with Coach for a while, and he played well for Washington in the playoffs last year. But if he comes out against the Giants on Thursday Night Football and he don't play well, and it's not looking good, Coach Rivera is going to go and really look hard at bringing Cam Newton in. He knows Cam very well, and like I said, he talked about it last year before the Patriots picked Cam up. Before they signed him, you know, we had that discussion, and he talked about, you know, he had to see what Dwayne Haskins could do. Well, I'm looking at that as the same thing right now. He's looking at what Taylor Heinicke or Kyle Allen can do, and if it don't work out, I will not be surprised if he went and signed Cam.
Should they?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because Cam is a guy that's proven. And he said it over and over. There are not 32 guys that's better than me, and I believe him 100%. He was my teammate. I know what he's going to bring to the table. I know how competitive he is, and I know that when he goes into that Washington franchise, he's going to make them a better team from day one.
Let's set the context a little bit. So what, 10 years with Cam probably you spent in the locker room with him?
Yeah, at least.
Rivera was the coach all those years. I remember there was an incident on a Sunday night in Seattle where Cam didn't wear a tie and Ron benched him for Derek Anderson. Like,
that wasn't Ron.
That wasn't Ron. Okay, so let's open up because you're the Carolina Panther eyes and ears.
That was Dave Gettleman all day.
Okay, so that was Gettleman. So let's ask you then on this one, why hasn't he brought Cam in? And is that dynamic great? Like, are they? Because if anyone in the world would know the relations player-coach, it's you.
So I feel like the reason why he hasn't brought him in right now is because he don't want to be pressured into making the decision. And I feel like there's a ton of pressure on him to do just that because everybody feels like that's the right move. Coach Rivera is one of those, he's a prideful person. He want to make his own decision, and he want to make an educated decision based on what the guys that have worked hard and earned the opportunity within the organization, what they are able to do. And he's going to give them an opportunity to do that. And I promise you, if it's not going well, you can hear all this stuff about we're not looking to go outside, but as soon as it goes bad, and not saying that it's going to go bad, but if it does, you'll hear Cam name come up for sure in the near future.
One of the things he said last week, Cam himself, was that part of the reason he's not on a team, or maybe teams were reluctant to bring him in, is because he's Cam, because he's a celebrity, because I'm Cam Newton, and maybe it's a lot to deal with. Maybe it's a bit of an eye roller. He's different from another guy bringing in the locker room, right? His fame, his history, like how does that go over?
I mean, it's one of those things. It just comes with the territory. When you bring a Cam Newton into your roster, you're bringing everything that comes with it. And I think for so long, people have really conceived Cam in a certain way. As arrogant, as being a guy that's about me. He's none of that. He's a guy that's going to come to work each and every day. He's going to be there before anybody else. He's going to leave after everybody else. He's putting all the extra work in. But you never really see that get reported. You never see people talk about, his work ethic or what he does. They talk about how he dresses. They talk about how he wears his hair. Yeah. And those are the things that you hear. You don't hear about how much he cares about his teammates, how much he does in the community every year. Those are the things that I know Cam Newton to be. And when he comes into a franchise, like I said, they're going to become a better team, a better place because Cam Newton is in it. And I can promise you that.
I'm kind of at the point where it's like, why not, right? Like, why not? You're not bringing him into a $100 million contract. I think, to your point, it's going to be a low investment for a great addition to the franchise. If ever there was a team to bring Cam in, I would think it's his first coach who was with him for all those years, right through the very end. But yet, he sticks with Heineke and Allen for this short week. There is history there, though. Let's go see Tyler. Let's see Heineke last year. You were on this Washington team. I mean, he was great against the Bucs last year. Great.
Toe-to-toe with Brady.
Toe-to-toe with Brady. This game was awesome. It was a Saturday night game. No one gave him a shot. Of course, they were at home. And he was dealing, and this is to a lot of wide receivers to the national audience, but he was running around. He was making plays. He looked a little bit like he was ready for the moment.
That's the play that cost us that game, though.
That's the touchback, right? That one right there.
He hurt his shoulder. That was a touchdown. He hurt his shoulder on that play. He landed on his shoulder.
Yeah. And then let's look at Kyle Allen, because a couple years ago, I think, Thomas, you were in San Diego this season, or L.A. Kyle Allen, as an undrafted player, goes in and beats Kyler Murray in Arizona and balls out there. So, I almost feel like Ron, yes, he knows Cam, but almost more recently, he knows these guys. And these guys are guys that maybe Norv and Scott Turner know well, too. Now, Norv was an offensive coordinator with Cam. He's still in Ron's ear, and they're still friendly. And then Scott is the offensive coordinator now in Washington, who's also in Carolina. I wonder if they're like, it's just, we know what we got here. Cam is a lot. And yet, are we trying to do this or are we not? I would bring in Cam Newton. Why not? Let's at least see what we got. But they're going with these guys first.
Let me add a wrinkle, and this isn't necessarily should they, will they. Back in July, Ron Rivera was very outspoken, and the Washington football team was around 50% on their vaccination level. The league was about 90. And Ron said, this is frustrating. Last year, we were great against this, and now, for whatever reason, guys are having a change of heart. Ron has his own health issues. He feels very strongly. Some coaches care more about the vaccine than nobody cares more out of 32 than Ron Rivera. So talked to Albert Breer a few weeks back and had vulgar, R-rated thoughts about how the information is out there. Like, Ron is one of these guys. No matter how we feel, you feel at home, Ron Rivera believes firmly in this. Last we heard, Cam Newton is unvaccinated. Right. I don't know if that jives with Ron. I don't know if Ron wants that in his quarterback room, in his locker room, with the risks that come in based on the rules that the league set. My personal belief is still that the unvaccination status played a role in his leaving the Patriots. And I think it might play a role in him not joining Washington.
I can agree with that 100%. I was there in Washington when Coach Rivera went through his whole cancer battle. And 100%, any person that's going through a situation like that would be skeptical about bringing somebody in that's not vaccinated that could potentially cause me harm. And you got to understand that, and I understand that. And I'm pretty sure the players on that team understood that. That's why that number went from 50% to the upper 90% for that football team.
There's so much more we want to get to. I want to get your thoughts on what Cam said about being a big personality in the locker room. If you agree with that, how much that played in, how much the vaccination status played in. We've got 24 hours to do. We've got 3 hours here today. We'll be joined by Jamar Chase. We've got What's Your Beef? Is Not New Jersey coming back?
We got a lot of good ones.
And no one loves a list like Peter Schrager. Peter, what do you got? You love a list.
5 best rookies of the week.
Oh, very into that. But let's bring in our veteran, Ian Rappaport, our insider this morning. My Saints, Ian, let's talk about it. They're dealing with some issues with COVID. What's the latest?
Yeah, the New Orleans Saints are in the intensive COVID-19 protocols, which means increased testing, increased mask wearing, all because they have a COVID-19 issue mostly centered around their coaching staff. As Tom Pelissero reported yesterday, they have 6 assistant coaches, no coordinators, but 6 assistant coaches who have tested positive for COVID-19. Important to know, all coaches, all staff members are fully vaccinated for the New Orleans Saints. They also have a team nutritionist who tested positive for COVID-19, and star receiver Michael Thomas, who is, of course, not on the active roster as of right now. He is on the PUP list. So as far as players right now, as it stands this moment, they do not have a player affected by COVID-19 as far as on the field this weekend against the Carolina Panthers. They do not have a 100% vaccination rate for their players. They do for their coaches. It's close for their players, or obviously for those who are unvaccinated especially. We will be keeping our eye on. Also worth noting that the Saints are still in Fort Worth, still practicing, still away from home. The word now, initial word, is that these positives may not necessarily affect who coaches on Sunday, but obviously we'll be following that as we get right up to the game.
Man, it's always something with my